Here's what I'm going to do today. This is going to be a very quick live address of what happened with Dorkside Toys. So for those of you who have been living in any sort of under a rock, Dorkside Toys is no more. I know that was one of everybody's favorite toy stores. It was one of the biggest online toy stores as in the fan channel as well. You're probably wondering, what does this mean for the state of the toy world? How could this have happened? Is this Megalopolis 2.0? How is it different if it's not? How will this affect me as a buyer? And what about the people who got screwed? Because there are some people who got screwed out of money on this. So I have a page of notes we're going to go through, and that's going to be what we talk about. So you might be wondering, I've been kind of quiet on this. A lot of you have sent me messages saying, hey, Matt, what's going on? What do you think? So here's the deal. First off, you might be surprised to hear this, but a lot of you think like, hey, this is going to be good for you, right? More business, more market share. Maybe a little, but honestly, it's not. I would rather this have not happened. More on that soon. But it was also not my place to talk about the business before it was officially done. So now that the official going out of business sale, once that went up a week and a half ago, that's when I said, hey, I can talk about this now. And to be honest with you, it's painful for the owners. I don't know him personally. I've never talked to him. I think maybe once I talked to Eddie, I think his name was. But seemed like a good guy from every correspondence I saw, and it sucks. I do kind of know what it's like to go through a business bankruptcy. My dad went through one in 1990, and he was never the same after it. So my thoughts are with them, trying to recover from this. I'm hoping nobody got really screwed out of it, but it sucks. It definitely sucks, and it hurts consumer confidence too. So yeah, my initial thoughts are that this is bad for the fan channel and overall bad for toys. And I'm hoping that me talking today and just being kind of transparent on the whole situation mitigates that a little bit. So first off, you should know I saw this coming a mile away. I couldn't talk about it. It would have sounded very odd, but it was pretty obvious. So first of all, the Dorkside has, from the beginning of 2022 on, been running a constant sale. And the sale, they were often putting brand new figures on sale. So things that just came out, that weren't even in stock in other places yet, were being sold below wholesale price. That is a sign that a company is in trouble. It could be, not necessarily. So here's when I want you guys to be able to see this in the future so you can see this coming, because this was the same pattern that happened with Megalopolis. And the pattern's not always the same, right? Like, it doesn't mean that if this happens that someone's in trouble, but it's important to kind of see, okay, well, this is happening. Maybe this is a sign. So like I said, first sign, heavy discounts. When you see heavy discounts, it could mean a couple different things. One, it's a one-off. Did they simply buy too much and it's not really a sign of their financial health? Maybe they're trying to ensure that since a figure's not so popular, they don't have dead stock and they're willing to take a small hit to not take up space of dead stock and it getting worse. Kind of like dumping a stock before it gets too even worse. This has happened to me. The Transformers Tigatron, I bought 30 of them. I sold one of them. I sold the rest at like $10 under wholesale price. Like, I was basically giving it away to get rid of it because it was taking up space and I knew I was never gonna sell it. So it does happen. But if that happens a lot, like more than once or twice a year, that is a sign that a company is in big, big trouble. Then there's also, they're buying below wholesale. Now, it is possible, like when I saw this, I said, they might be buying below the normal wholesale rates. Maybe they're direct importing. Well, this comes with its own problems. If you direct import from China, or if you direct import product from China, you have to buy in big quantities, and shipping is expensive right now. I'm sure we've all seen that. But there is also the possibility that they're able to offer great prices and sales because they got it at liquidation. And that's a great example for me. You guys might have seen some of the sales I had on Black Friday, the Ghostbusters All-In sale last weekend. That's me buying stuff on liquidation. I'm not losing money on these sales. So it's important to know the difference. Now, what happened with them, and this is kind of speculation, I guess, but it's also kind of obvious. They were short on cash and they needed to turn what they had into cash. So if you see that in the future, lightning bells should go off, because that's exactly what happened with Megalopolis. They were clearly in trouble, and all of a sudden their deals were too good to be true, and most of the time, from what I understand, people didn't fulfill them. When did I know this was like in its death throes was October 28th. So I always check every site, all the major 4 or 5 sites when a new pre-order launches to see how everybody priced, to make sure that I'm on the lower end, because that's my pricing strategy. Well, I checked them on the 28th and I saw they did not put up the 27th pre-orders. That's when I knew it was done. I didn't say anything, and it took 3 or 4 weeks for other people to figure it out, but that's when I knew. Now, let's talk about what the heck, some of the rumors of what happened. Now, what I just told you is what we know, what I saw as far as discounts go, and a little bit of speculation. But this is all pure. I can't confirm any of this. So first of all, supposedly they had issues with PayPal. I heard that. I think that's true, it sounds like, but I can't confirm it. Secondly, I had a supplier, when I was complaining about how Dorkside was getting stuff in early, tell me that they were buying stuff in bulk at retail price from big box stores to look like they get their stuff first. I don't know if that's true. If it is, it's kind of stupid, but it's just something I heard. I also heard a few people say that customer service at Dorkside said that they were really hurt by Hasbro Pulse, because Hasbro Pulse has been magically getting things in first, and that would lead to cancellations, and that kind of sucks. And then lastly, like, this was a summer of pain. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but a lot of stores, smaller stores, closed up shop. So what ended up happening was a large amount of product came in all at once from Hasbro and a couple other companies. And the working theory is that they waited until shipping prices were down to send them over, but that's just the theory. I don't know one way or the other. But a lot of people ran out of money. It's really sad, but it is what it is. We were lucky. I am very, I guess you could call it, fiscally conservative when it comes to running a business. I keep a lot of extra cash on hand to be careful rather than taking it as salary. I've ran restaurants for 20 years. I know bad times come. But that seems to be a big part of it here. Megalopolis, I could tell you, the rumor was, and this is coming from them, they just grew too fast. They couldn't handle their own distribution because they had no operations experience, is my guess. Because I don't understand how, if you had operations experience, you could allow that to happen. But they were going to third-party distributors, and it never fabricated and came together. It also, if you go back and read, there's a lot of news articles on them when they were still doing well. There's articles about like what they see in the future and how they're going to have, they literally talked about a theme park with that mascot walking around. So yeah, not eye on the tiger there, right? You know, now let's talk about how this should affect you as a consumer. So first off, if you're one of the people who got screwed, be mad. You should be mad. That sucks. It really sucks. So my advice to you is know who you're dealing with. And yes, this is incredibly self-serving because I run my store. I am the head of operations. Anna is the other head of operations. Even as we grow and get into and start hiring employees and stuff, we will always oversee it. We will always be available for a concerned customer. We might not take every single customer service call, but only the ones that actually need it. But if you can't see what runs a business and it is just some conglomerate faceless entity, that's a little scary. So there's one thing I would advise. If you have a bad feeling about something, ask questions. And if they're not upfront about it, then that's probably a bad sign. For example, I've had customers ask me some questions lately about some of the pre-orders they have that have been constantly pushed, like the Venom movie figure and the Carnage from the Venom Pool Bath Wave. And I tell them the truth, like, hey, as of right now, it's still on, but I got a bad gut feeling Hasbro might cancel it. If you're not hearing this, it's probably, if you're not hearing this and they're just saying, yep, it's coming, you're probably being lied to, okay? Either that or they have some serious inside information, but they should have at least some doubts. Other things you can look out for, let me look at my notes here. Pay attention to manufacturers. The Four Horsemen were all over this. So was Action Force. They put up things early because they had their customers saying, hey, your product, what's going on? They actually reached out to Dorkside and were able to say, like, hey, don't know what's going on, but we don't sell on Dorkside anymore. So, another thing is a lot of people had, when this first started, there was a lot of people defending the Dorkside situation. Like, no, this isn't true. This is all made up. I don't want to say where there's smoke, there's fire, because you always want to confirm rumors. But when there's all that stuff coming out and the company does not come out and get in front of it and just kind of ignores it, that's a bad sign. So something to keep an eye on in the future. How should this affect you and your pre-orders in the future? Honestly, it really shouldn't change too much. For items with massive lead times like Four Horsemen, Mezco, you might want to wait to put the pre-order in until it gets closer to release date so that if something happens with that company, you don't get screwed. Aside from obviously working with companies you trust. But yeah, it's kind of going to be like that. You know, a lot of people ask me like, hey, you take your pre-order money up front when you have, you know, are you going to consider changing that? And the short answer is not really. I think a lot of you would be surprised to hear this, but one of the reasons that I don't want to stop taking pre-order money up front is it would add, in my estimation, at least one full-time employee just to handle payments when stuff came in stock, because you have to get a hold of everybody and say, hey, this is going to be charged. Not an easy thing to automate. Then you have to go back and actually do the charge. Then you have to deal with people who have change of credit cards. Then you got to deal with people who are no longer responding. Then you got to deal with people who are declined. It's a mess, and it needs a person just to handle that. So I don't want to do it. It messes with operations. I know a lot of you guys love how fast we process orders. That would be very difficult if we had to deal with that as well. So yeah. So I actually did learn some from this and Megalopolis, from this situation. A lot of it I already knew. I've been in business a long time, not with toys, but I know my stuff, so to speak. One, own your own distribution network. This was a Megalopolis issue. If you're not daily in front of the people who are shipping your product, that's a problem. If you have employees doing it, if you have, you know, a manager in charge of the employees, that's great. But you still need to get out in front, and you need to be on front lines, not 40, 50 hours a week, but you need to go out there once or twice a week and see how your business is running. You can't just assume the distribution's getting done right. And third-party distribution in an industry like collectibles don't work. I'm sorry. Second, cash is king. I already knew this. There's a reason that I'm operating this business still out of my basement. Our sales and our revenue have way outgrown our basement. There are many people who have warehouse space who do less sales than us, but it allows us to keep our overhead really low, which then allows us to save and continue to grow our inventory so that when a really popular release comes out, we can buy it in bulk and not worry about having all that cash sunk into it. I just bought another 40 Mafex Spider-Man because I can, and I think it's a great long-term hold. I think it's going to be something that people want for a long time to come. So, yeah, cash, important. Secondly, grow slow. You can't grow too quickly. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything on my last note. Oh, you know, speaking of being frugal with your company and being smart, you know, there's a reason also, like you might have heard me say some bad things about Super 7 in the past. They're not smart with their money. They have offices in San Francisco, the most popular real estate in the country, maybe the world. So yeah, I'm not going to go out and pay rent to something if I don't have to yet. Now, I have figured out that if I double my sales again, this year we 10x them, but if I double them this year to next year, then in 2024, we're going to have to figure out some space issues. Because we just won't have enough room to be able to process it. But like for now, I'm going to probably go out this week and get a storage unit to kind of clear up some space in the basement. But yeah, grow slow, baby. Next is be prepared for anything. And honestly, I feel pretty good about our preparation on most things, but call it like me hitting 40 in a month or two. But I do have a couple fears that I need to be better prepared for. So honestly, my biggest fear of preparation is that I drop dead. Like, I know that sounds like crazy, but like seriously, like anything can happen. If I have a massive coronary tomorrow or I'm hit by a car, what happens to people's pre-orders? What happens to people's orders? The truth is right now, it's not terrible. Like I have all the Anna can continue to run the business and do the part that I do easily enough because I have everything written out. But obviously it wouldn't be like okay, well, Matt's dead. Pick up tomorrow, start again. It's not that easy, right? So yeah, there's definitely some things I need to work on with that, including like what happens if something happens to both of us. Like I'd like to have I don't know if you want to call it a trust or what, but something set up so that the store can either be passed on to our children or be sold for our estate for our children. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking there. So let's see what else I got for you guys. So what I hope comes out of this. So I've been glancing at the chat a little bit here. What I hope is that there's a hole in the market. I want it. Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth are numbers 1 and 2 in some order. Dorkside was number 3 as far as independent retailers go. Number 3 is open. I'm not near it. I want to be it. I want to go to number 3. I want to continue to grow this because I think we have something special here. I have other pieces of it that I want to grow eventually, like I do. I've talked to some about, you guys might have heard me talk about this before. I want to run a toy line, but I want to finance it almost entirely through the Nerdzoic Toy Store, so that's years away. I want to run at least one convention annually, the Nerdzoic Con. That's a year or 2 away. So I have a lot of plans that I want to do. So if I can continue to grow sales, boom. Specifically pre-order sales, because pre-orders are king because it's guaranteed sales. Like sometimes I get like that pit in my stomach, like, whew, how many cases of this do I want to buy? Because there's always the risk that it ends up being a crappy figure and you can't sell them. Which obviously to anyone stuck with them, but like even if it's not a crappy figure, it might just be an unpopular figure. So yeah, that's definitely a risk. Definitely something. What else do I got? I also hope that people shop with who they trust. So I know a lot of you guys on my comments are my customers. I thank you for that. Thank you for being great customers. If there's something we can do better, let me know. There is a survey that I'll be sending out probably around New Year's. What I want to have on that survey, there's going to be questions for you guys about things that we can do differently. For example, pricing. We price our things in a manner, so every company's priced relatively close. Some companies kind of make it sound better than others, like Big Bad does the $4 shipping. But in order to get $4 shipping, you're going to pay a little bit more of a markup. Some stores do free shipping over a certain amount, but same deal. You're going to get a markup. With us, rather than playing any of those games, we just do 2 things. We specifically do the rewards program, which people have made a lot of money on this year, and we charge what we think is the best possible price that we can afford to charge, plus shipping is what it actually is. So, because shipping is just such a mess. So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing, and we are working on trying to figure out a way to do some kind of a pile of loot, and it's not easy. It is disastrous so far from a technology standpoint. I thought I was really close, only to find out that a key piece of the API, which is like the code that you have to tap into on the store software, is not open for me to have customized. Killed me. So yeah. Last thing I want to say on this little address is, if you lost out on pre-orders from Dorkside, let me know. Maybe I can sell them to you at their price if they were cheaper. Maybe I can find another store that I can point you to that has them if you lost something. For those of you who lost money, I feel really bad. I really do. I wish I was at a point where I could say I'll take care of all of you, but Dorkside was huge. And I don't know if we're talking about hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, or hundreds of thousands of dollars. But what I'll say this is, if you got screwed on the Dorkside situation, shoot me an email. Tell me what you ordered, how much you lost, send me a receipt, and I'll see if there's anything I can do. No promises. Maybe I can send you a store credit that you can use to help offset some of it. Maybe I can send you a coupon. It's going to depend on the amount of people that hit me up at info@nerdzoic.com. But I'll do my best because I want to try to do what's best for people.